The humid air of Yell Ferry Prime clung to Staff Sergeant Noah Briggs' uniform as he reviewed tactical displays in the Joint Command Center. 3 months into his deployment, he'd grown accustomed to working alongside the Thalara, tall, elegant beings whose purple-tinged skin seemed to shimmer in the artificial light. Their grace in movement was matched only by their deadly efficiency in combat. "Sergeant Briggs," came the melodious voice of Commander Virii as she approached his station. At nearly 7 feet tall, she commanded attention without effort. Her dark, curly hair framed angular features that managed to be both alien and beautiful, while her lean frame moved with predatory elegance. "Commander," Noah nodded, fighting the exhaustion that had been building over days of intensive training exercises. "The perimeter sweep data is ready for your review." Virii studied the holographic display, her violet eyes analyzing every detail. Noah found himself watching her profile, the way her brow furrowed in concentration, how her lips pursed slightly when considering tactical options. The Thalara possessed an otherworldly beauty that never failed to captivate him, though he'd never voiced such thoughts aloud. "Acceptable," she concluded, straightening to her full height. "Tomorrow's exercise will incorporate these parameters." As she turned to leave, Noah's tired mind wandered despite his best efforts to maintain professional focus. The way she moved, fluid and confident, the subtle curve of her form beneath the fitted uniform. "Okay, that's definitely the best damn view on this planet." The thought escaped his mental barriers like a sigh, unguarded and honest. He didn't realize anything was wrong until Virii stopped mid-step, her entire body going rigid. Slowly, impossibly slowly, she turned back to face him. Her violet eyes met his brown ones across the command center, and Noah felt his stomach drop. The expression on her face was unreadable, not anger, not embarrassment, but something else entirely. Something that made his pulse quicken. The room had gone completely silent. Every Thalara present had stopped their work, their attention focused on the exchange. Noah felt heat rise in his cheeks as he realized something had gone terribly wrong. "Commander," he managed, his voice hoarse. Virii's lips parted slightly, as if she might speak, but no words came. Instead, she continued staring at him with those mesmerizing eyes, her expression shifting to something that might have been consideration. "Report to the council chambers at 1900 hours, she said finally, her voice carrying a strange formality. "You will be expected." With that, she turned and strode from the room, leaving Noah surrounded by curious Thalara gazes and the growing certainty that his career, and possibly his life, had just taken a very unexpected turn. The Thalara council chambers felt impossibly vast as Noah entered at precisely 1900 hours. Crystalline formations jutted from the walls, casting prismatic light across the assembled figures. Elder Corvain, distinguished by silver markings across his temples, gestured for Noah to approach the central platform. "Staff Sergeant Briggs," Corvain's voice resonated with ancient authority. "Do you understand why you have been summoned?" Noah's throat felt dry. "I'm afraid I don't, Elder Corvain. If I've committed some offense." "Offense?" Corvain's expression shifted to what might have been amusement. "Young human, you have done quite the opposite. You have made a declaration of intent." Commander Virii stepped forward from the shadows, her presence commanding immediate attention. She'd changed from her military uniform into flowing ceremonial robes that emphasized her elegant form. "Elder, perhaps I should explain." "Indeed, Commander. It was your mind that received his appreciation." Noah felt his face burn. "My what?" Virii's violet eyes fixed on his. "Your thoughts about my physical form were transmitted telepathically. In our culture, such focused admiration, broadcast openly, constitutes a formal proposal of courtship. But humans aren't telepathic," Noah protested. "I was told we were immune to your mental communications." "Immunity and inability are different things," Corvain explained patiently. "Your species cannot receive our thoughts, but under certain conditions, emotional stress, fatigue, intense focus, you can transmit. Your exhaustion lowered your mental barriers." Noah's mind reeled. So when I thought about Commander Virii. Every Thalara in the room heard your declaration, Virii said softly. According to our customs, I had the right to accept or reject your proposal immediately. And Noah's voice was barely a whisper. I did not reject it. The silence stretched between them, heavy with implication. Noah studied Virii's face, searching for some sign of her true feelings. Her expression remained carefully neutral, but he caught something in her eyes, curiosity, perhaps. Or was it merely diplomatic duty? What happens now? He asked. Elder Corvain stepped forward. You have two choices, Sergeant. You may formally withdraw your declaration, which would require a public apology and likely strain our alliance. Or. He paused meaningfully. You may honor the commitment and proceed with the bonding rituals. Noah looked at Virii, who met his gaze steadily. What do you want, Commander? I want what is best for both our peoples, she replied diplomatically. Then, more quietly, but I confess, your thoughts were not entirely unwelcome. The admission sent a jolt through Noah's chest. He found himself studying her face anew, seeing not just the alien warrior but the woman beneath, proud, intelligent, and perhaps as curious about him as he was about her. How long do I have to decide? The bonding ceremony must begin within 3 days, Corvain said. But the choice, Sergeant Briggs, is yours alone. As Noah left the chamber, his mind churned with possibilities he'd never dared consider. Noah stared at his reflection in the mirror of his quarters, straightening his dress uniform for the 3rd time. 2 days of sleepless deliberation had led him to this moment, agreeing to participate in the bonding ceremony. For diplomatic reasons, he told himself, though the flutter in his chest when he thought of Virii suggested otherwise. A soft chime announced a visitor. Virii entered, no longer in military attire but wearing a flowing gown that seemed to capture and reflect the ambient light. The fabric clung to her curves in ways that made Noah's breath catch. You look nervous, she observed, moving closer with that predatory grace he'd come to associate with her. Terrified, actually, he admitted. I don't know your customs, your rituals. I'm afraid I'll offend someone or make a fool of myself. Then I will teach you. Her voice was gentler than he'd ever heard it. The first phase involves Kothran, the sharing of essence. We must learn each other's minds before we can unite our bodies. She gestured to the low table she'd arranged, set with crystalline vessels containing luminescent liquid. Drink with me, and I will guide you through what comes next. Noah lifted the vessel, studying the swirling contents. What is this? A mild psychotropic. It will help you open your mind to mine. She raised her own cup. To understanding. The liquid tasted like starlight and honey, warming him from within. Almost immediately, he felt a loosening in his thoughts, as if barriers he didn't know existed were dissolving. Now, Virii said, moving to sit beside him. Give me your hands. Her skin was warm, slightly textured, and the moment their palms touched, Noah gasped. Images flooded his mind, not his own memories, but hers. He saw her childhood on Yelthari Prime, her training as a warrior, her first glimpse of humans arriving on their world. I can see your thoughts, he whispered in amazement. And I yours. Her voice seemed to come from inside his head. You're not what I expected, Noah Briggs. Through their connection, he felt her surprise at his gentleness, her appreciation for his dedication to duty, her growing curiosity about human emotions and desires. In return, she experienced his wonder at her strength, his admiration for her culture, and, most surprisingly, his genuine attraction to her as more than just an alien beauty. We should walk in the gardens, she said aloud, but her mental voice continued, there are things I want to show you away from watching eyes. They moved through the bioluminescent gardens like dancers, her hand in his as she shared the significance of each flowering plant, each carefully cultivated space. The psychotropic heightened everything, colors were more vivid, scents more intense, and the warmth of her presence beside him felt like coming home. In 3 days, we will be bound, she said as they paused beside a fountain whose waters sang with crystalline notes. But tonight, we are simply Noah and Virii, learning what it means to choose each other. When she turned to face him, starlight reflecting in her violet eyes, Noah felt the last of his reservations crumble. "I'm not doing this just for diplomacy anymore," he confessed. "Good," she whispered, rising on her toes to bring their faces level. "Neither am I." Their first kiss was electric, tentative at first, then deeper as they discovered how perfectly their mouths fit together despite their different origins. The next evening, Virii led Noah to her private quarters, a space that reflected her dual nature as both warrior and woman. Weapons were displayed alongside delicate art pieces, and the air carried the scent of exotic flowers from her homeworld. "The second phase of bonding requires complete trust," she explained, her voice lower than usual. "We must share not just thoughts, but physical intimacy. Only then can the final ceremony truly unite us." Noah felt his pulse quicken. "Virii, I need you to know, this isn't just obligation for me anymore. What I feel for you is real." She moved closer, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "Show me," she whispered. Their second kiss was hungrier than the first, months of professional restraint giving way to genuine desire. Noah marveled at how she felt in his arms, strong yet yielding, alien yet familiar. Her skin was warm silk beneath his hands as he explored the elegant lines of her neck and shoulders. "Your touch is different than I expected," she breathed against his ear. "Gentler. Human males are not like the Lara warriors." "Is that good or bad?" he asked, nipping at her throat in a way that made her shiver. "Very good," she gasped, her hands working at the fastenings of his uniform. They undressed each other slowly, reverently, learning the geography of their different bodies. Noah traced the subtle patterns in her violet skin, while she explored the coarser texture of his, fascinated by the differences and similarities. When they finally joined, it was with a telepathic connection that amplified every sensation. Noah felt her pleasure as his own, while she experienced his wonder at their union. They moved together in perfect synchronization, each touch and caress shared between their minds. "I can feel what you feel," he marveled, his voice rough with emotion. "As I feel you," she replied, her thoughts wrapping around his like silk. "This is what true bonding means, not just our bodies, but our very souls intertwined." They made love with an intensity that transcended physical pleasure, their mental connection creating feedback loops of sensation and emotion. When release finally claimed them, it was shared completely, leaving them breathless and transformed. Afterward, they lay entwined in the soft glow of her quarters, Noah's fingers tracing lazy patterns on her skin while she projected contentment directly into his mind. "Tomorrow is the final ceremony," she said softly. "Are you ready to be bound to me forever?" Noah considered the question seriously. 3 days ago, he would have said this was impossible, a diplomatic accident that had spiraled out of control. Now, looking into her violet eyes, feeling the warm press of her body against his, he knew the truth. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," he said, meaning every word. But as dawn approached, doubt crept in. Was this real love, or just the intoxicating effect of their telepathic connection? And more importantly, did it matter? The final bonding ceremony was to take place at dawn, but Noah found himself awake hours before, staring at the ceiling of his quarters. The telepathic link with Virii had faded with distance, leaving him alone with his thoughts for the first time in days. "What am I doing?" The question echoed in his mind. Was he about to commit his life to someone he'd known professionally for months but intimately for only days? Could love really bloom so quickly, or was this merely exotic attraction amplified by alien telepathy? A soft knock interrupted his spiraling thoughts. Virii entered, wearing simple robes instead of ceremonial dress, her expression troubled. "You're having doubts," she said without preamble. "How did you?" He stopped, realizing she'd probably sensed his turmoil through their weakened but still present connection. "I'm having them too," she admitted, sitting on the edge of his bed. "Noah, I need to tell you something about the Lara bonding. The telepathic connection we've shared, it creates artificial intimacy. Feelings that seem real but might be manufactured. His stomach dropped. So what we felt last night could be completely genuine, or it could be the telepathic equivalent of a drug-induced hallucination. She looked down at her hands. I don't know how to tell the difference anymore. They sat in silence, the weight of impending ceremony pressing down on them. Finally, Noah spoke. There's only one way to find out, he said. We go through with the ceremony, but afterward, we suppress the telepathic bond. Live together as just us. No mental connection, no enhanced intimacy. If what we feel survives that, then we'll know it's real. Virii looked up, hope flickering in her violet eyes. That's not traditional. The bond is meant to be permanent. Then let's make our own tradition, Noah said, taking her hands. I want to love you, Virii. The real you, not some telepathically enhanced version. And I want you to love me the same way. She smiled, the first truly unguarded expression he'd seen from her. Yes, she whispered. I want that too. The ceremony itself was beautiful but brief. Standing before the assembled Dallara Council and human delegation, Noah and Virii spoke vows that bound them not just diplomatically but personally. When Elder Corvain pronounced them joined, the telepathic connection flared bright and overwhelming. Then, as promised, they allowed it to fade. The days that followed were challenging. Without the telepathic link, they had to learn each other all over again, through words, through touch, through the simple act of sharing space and time. They discovered that Virii had a dry sense of humor that matched his own, that Noah's protective instincts complemented her warrior nature, and that their physical chemistry remained intense even without psychic enhancement. 6 months later, as they watched the twin moons rise over Yelthari Prime from their shared quarters, Noah knew they'd made the right choice. Any regrets? Virii asked, curled against his side. Just one, he said, pressing a kiss to her temple. I wish I'd accidentally broadcast my thoughts about you sooner. She laughed, the sound like music in the alien night. Perhaps some accidents are meant to happen. And as they made love under the foreign stars, Noah knew that what they'd built together was real, not born of telepathy or diplomacy, but of genuine choice, genuine feeling, and the courage to let love grow in its own time. Their union had begun as an accident, but it had become something far more precious, a true partnership between two souls who had chosen each other freely, completely, and forever.